Take the shackles off my feet so I can dance. I just want to praise you. I just want to praise you.
So you've signed the the swearing of allegiance, have you?
Never.
You did that, did you?
Citizen, not subject.
Oh, boy. Hello, everyone. I'm me, she's her, and he's him. Do you want to say who we each are?
Yes. Welcome to the coronation coverage of that. I got that wrong. Welcome to the Blighty Day Fiancé coronation coverage 2023.
I mean, you say 2023 like this is an annual event.
Well,
Elliot, when was the last one?
70 years ago.
1953.
Right.
But before that, it was 1937. So, sometimes they do come more rapidly.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Right, that's all I'm saying.
I'm
saying there might be a few more in our lifetimes.
There might be. Yeah, that's right.
Unless we die of excitement today.
That's right. Me and Elliot were talking about this. We're giving Charles about 15, right? I have a funny feeling that William's going to like Kennedy himself somehow. I don't think he'll be around for a long time.
But he'll certainly have been around for a good time.
Yeah, he'll certainly been around for a good time.
We can talk about that later.
And then it's just going to be chaos with like his kids and their kids and stuff. I mean, then we'll get into War of the Roses kind of stuff. It'll be like Game of Thrones. People will be on the throne for like 5 minutes and then, once the wars start.
And maybe we'll have people going and then coming back. Who knows?
Has that ever happened?
Yes. Edward the Fourth did, I think, a year on the throne and then got deposed and then came back. Certainly in the 15th century there were some walk-on parts, and
Charles the First.
Well, he sort of came to a sticky end. He was given a sticky end in that they cut his head off, which was harsh given that he was only 4'11" with his head on. I mean,
Oh,
he was a short king. And then became shorter.
Wasn't he on the throne for a bit and then he wasn't and then he was?
No, he survived all the way through. His son Charles II was, well, it depends how you look at it. He was crowned in Scotland but not in England in 1650 after the Battle of Dunbar. But then there was the Protectorate and the Commonwealth in the 1650s. Then he came back properly at the Restoration in 1660,
right,
as the Merry Monarch,
right,
with the roving eye and indeed other things.
I'm Robin.
My name is Michelle.
And we have
Elliot Wilson with us today.
Hello, hello.
Who some of you may know from Michelle and Elliot's incredible royalty podcast, which is available intermittently on this feed or Patreon, which is going to come back soon.
Yes, we are bringing it back.
Yeah, but today we are covering the coronation of... Now, it's saying on my TV screen here, the coronation of TM, the Queen, the King, and Queen Camilla.
Boo!
So, well, I'm just surprised they've trademarked them. The coronation of Trademark the King. This is now a brand.
Well,
you've
got to make all of the commercial opportunities pay for themselves. It's it's a dog-eat-dog world.
Hey, don't say that. We got the dogs here, Tig. She just recoiled from the microphone. I think TM stands for Their Majesties.
It does.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, fine.
Well done.
Good. I'm looking forward to this. My position on the monarchy is that people always... I'm not a Republican, necessarily, but I'm not having this whole argument that, they bring in lots of money for the country in tourism, because I think you would bring in more money for the country in tourism if you put their heads on spikes outside Buckingham Palace and people could come and look at that. So I don't think that's a good justification, but I like having things to talk about in the world. And I guess one of the things that saddens me is that we get rid of things that we don't like. And I like things that I don't like. If all that was left in the world was things I liked, it would be really, really boring and I wouldn't get to bitch about anything. So I'm kind of pro-monarchy in that sense. I don't like them, but I like having them there. That's my stance on it. Have you two covered your respective stances on the monarchy?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I am also not. I'm also not a Republican. I think I'm more emotionally tied to their stories, because my grandmother was, may she rest, was the same age as the queen, or a very similar age. Um, and so she was always interested in the royal family and the goings on. So that was kind of a bond I had with her as a little girl. So it's more of an emotional
Yeah.
thing. I probably know more about them than I should, and probably care more about them than I should. Yeah, quite right.
Elliot, how do you feel about our glorious monarchy?
I'm a tremendous supporter. I think it's a great institution. I think Her late Majesty did a tremendous job for 70 years. I think it's, it's part of the warp and weft of our constitutional fabric. Yeah, hurrah, say I.
Are you thrilled and excited by the day?
I could not be more excited if I tried. And I
Oh,
shan't, because that'd be
oh.
dangerous.
All right. Well, we're going to kick proceedings off. Here's how we're going to do this, kids and kidesses. We'll watch a bit. We'll chat about a bit. We'll watch a bit. We'll chat about a bit. I'll get drunk. Does that sound good?
Yeah, I think so.
Let battle commence.
Okay, so this is the bit where people are just sort of arriving, or they're scanning around the crowd of people who are already there. And the first person of note, well, that's not fair. The first recognizable
Well,
person.
again, that's not fair because Elliot's been saying that's Baron Montgomery of Smithshire.
Yeah, I think me identifying Lord Blencathra is not exactly on a par with this one, but I
You
will
were very
take credit where
upset
it was.
about his choice of robes.
Well, some of the peers are wearing their parliamentary robes, which they would only normally wear for the state opening of Parliament, which is fine because that's what they thought until recently was only available to them. But we may come back to that later.
But we've stopped on Katy Perry.
Yes, we have stopped on Katy Perry, who we're not quite sure why she's there. She's wearing sort of
Does a lot of work for the Prince's Trust.
Okay, fine. She looks fantastic. The color is a sort of muted pink, I want to say, maybe skewing towards lavender even, but not looking like an Easter egg. I've not quite seen that shade of pink before, but it looks incredible on her. And she looks gorgeous.
And accessories from Vivienne Westwood. So she's got her crown going there. Are her crown jewels going to compete with the crown jewels? It's a bold statement.
She is wearing, now I had my back crown on earlier, but it's a bit tight as my head is huge, but I have brought a fascinator that we'll take pictures of. It's nowhere near as fabulous as this one.
There's a lot of indoor fascinators going on there, I'm noticing, which I guess you sort of do at weddings. And this is Charles being wedded to the nation, and that is fine. You'd be a bit annoyed if you were sat behind him, I think. Is it rude to wear a hat indoors?
Well, I think for ladies, it's kind of expected, isn't it?
It
Yeah.
is. Okay.
And
All
I think, there are people who would think there are compensations to sitting behind Katy Perry as to not being able to see past her fascinator. But, I never thought I'd be sitting here discussing her crown jewels. But there you are.
But she's got quite a serious expression.
Yeah, she's just in Russell Brand.
That's John Kerry, I think.
Yes, John Kerry and Sir Nick Clegg.
Wow.
John
God.
Kerry wearing his medals.
Nick Clegg pimping Facebook. Is he still on Facebook?
I think he is. I think he's vice president of Meta now.
So he was the one that cost $8 billion. Good. Well done, Cleggy.
Keir Starmer there.
And Sir Ed Davey next to him. Keir Starmer not wearing... Actually, neither of them wearing their badges as knights, which is disappointing.
What badge do you get when you're a knight?
Well, Keir Starmer's a KCB, so he gets a star for his breast and a neck thing. But Ed Davies just a knight, a knight bachelor, so he should get a neck badge, but not wearing them.
Do you get a membership card and like a little gift wallet as well?
I think there's a secret handshake.
Okay. I don't know who these people are. Anyone of note? Got a fashion designer there.
I think Oswald Boateng was there.
Okay.
Now, we've got a gentleman who was identified by the captions as the master of rock,
Yeah.
erroneously.
Yeah.
But he is
What they
actually
actually said was Master of Baroque, and the subtitle person didn't know what Baroque is.
Now, that word in American English and probably in French as well is pronounced Baroque. So, in case there's any confusion.
Now, why were they just talking about Kelly Jones with Stereophonics? Surely he's not there. That would be ridiculous.
I think.
Well, you say that, but we may find some odd faces.
Yeah.
But yes, the gentleman who was identified as the Master of Rock is Sir John Eliot Gardner, the composer.
Who turned up in his pajamas today.
Well, I had a late start as well. Sometimes these things happen. So.
Yeah, we all did today, y'all. So we are not doing this live. Mercury retrograde.
Yeah, well, we're dipping in and out.
Yeah, we're dipping. And we want to make sure that we capture these moments for you.
When they were singing there, we got the sound down, obviously, so we can talk over this nonsense.
Yeah.
It was like they were doing Kath and Kim kisses. With their mouths fully open. It's quite fun watching choirs without listening to the sound. Couple of trombones there, rusty trombones. Obviously, Liz Truss will be coming in later.
As she always does.
Good. All right. Well, let's forward on a little bit, shall we?
Now, you can listen to the program, I'm assuming. I make no promises. But if you're interested in the music, which is probably pretty incredible, you can probably get it on the BBC app, I imagine.
Yeah, it's all there. I don't know
Yeah.
what people in other countries are doing. What channel in the States do you think will be showing this? I think it would be Skinamax.
Robin,
No?
let's have a modicum of respect.
It would be
for the
amusing if it
occasion.
was USA who got the rights to broadcast this.
Yeah, I don't know. Now,
Of course, we got no American representation today.
that's not true. Dr. Jill Biden is there today.
Oh, is she?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Joe didn't come.
And John Kerry, we just saw.
We did see John Kerry. No American president has been to any coronation because they don't believe in it.
Is that true, Elliot?
It's certainly true that they haven't. One has not been there before. Eisenhower wasn't here in 1953. And before that, you're getting to an age when presidents didn't really travel that much. So
Right. Wow.
I don't know if they have a particular problem with attending. Obviously,
Yeah,
Biden did attend the Queen's funeral, but was hilariously put some way down the batting order because he's only an elected head of state and he's not a royal, which was hilarious.
So the choir have finished their little jaunt. They're getting a lovely round of applause. I'm sure they sang beautifully. I mean, we're really just here to pick on the people in the crowd.
Yeah.
So his name's Joe Elliott, but he's not the bloke from Def Leppard.
Presumably not, though.
Oh, it might be John Elliott. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, Anton Deck. People in America will have no idea who Anton Deck are, but they're a couple of light entertainment TV presenters.
Without whom in this country no event would be complete, I think it's fair to say.
I think it's fair to say that too.
I like the fact they are sitting in the Anton Deck formation.
Of course.
Why are they now what are their medals?
They, I think, have MBEs, or they might be OBEs, but
Really? Wow.
Nick Flippin' Cave.
Not one that I would have expected.
Really didn't expect to see Nick Cave then.
He appears to have dyed his hair very, very black.
He's a recipient
One of
of
the Australian awards.
he
Okay.
was asked
Like a
about
Logie?
the monarchy a couple of days ago, and he was quite interesting because he said that he wasn't going to make a big fuss about whether he did or didn't believe in it, but that it was obviously very important and that he would go along because this was a massive event.
Is that
Yeah,
Stephen
that is
Fry on the
Stephen
left?
Fry? Yes.
who's sitting next to him. That's
Matthew thingy from cookery shows of great note. Some of the faith representatives.
Who's behind them?
Lord Williams of Oystermouth, the former Archbishop of Canterbury.
Very unfortunate name. Well, it depends on how you look at it, Oyster Mouth.
It does. And Lord Sentamu, former Archbishop of York.
Now,
Now, who's she? Because she could have done better with her outfit.
presumably he's one of us, the gentleman in the blue tie. Is he like a head rabbi or something?
He's not the chief rabbi.
Oh no, he's not the
certainly.
chief rabbi.
No, Chief Rabbi's rocking up later.
The chief rabbi, of course, was offered a bed for the night by His Majesty the King last night because he couldn't travel by public transport today because it is
the Sabbath, of course.
That's right.
And
oh
of course,
my God, Lionel Richie. Sorry.
He's not there in a religious context, Lionel Richie.
He's also not dancing on the ceiling just yet, but that may come later.
Oh, it's a very high ceiling.
It's very high indeed. But if there's a man to do it, I think Lionel Richie's your man.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so we've got some more folks arriving now. Elliot, I'm not going to know who any of these people are, so.
Well, there's a cardinal there who, if it's not Vincent Nichols, is presumably the papal nuncio, who is the Pope's ambassador to the UK, but I didn't recognise him, I must confess.
Didn't bother showing up at Logan Roy's birthday, but he can come to this.
Elliot doesn't watch Succession. Any ideas?
That's Dr. Biden, is it not?
Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry. I can't. It's hard to tell from the angles. They're still
Furiously
bashing
away at their instruments.
Mm-hmm.
Magnificent organ is out of use at the moment.
So what we're doing here is we're sort of dipping in and out as people arrive. The latecomers. I mean, there's a whole bunch of people there already.
Yeah, there's people who are sat there already.
You know, there's always a few stragglers.
Oh, I bet it's so muggy in there.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
At least it's not exceptionally hot today. That would be. We might see quite a few more people.
A little bit drizzly. I'm hoping for a cataclysmic storm because that would just be tremendous. It's a funny time to. So this time of year is always very rainy in the UK. We're kind of early May. There's a bank holiday. It's always drenched. It's a weird time to have chosen. However, there is no time which is safe in this country, is there?
No.
Not in the summer, anyway.
No. All right, well, we've just got a bunch more soldiers, so I'm going to hit the old pause button. All right, we've got more people coming in. Do we recognise anyone?
Some of those look a bit like German princelings. They have that look about them.
They do, don't they? Little Greglets.
You know, people whose middle name is Von und Zu.
Oh my gosh, they're having to queue? That's
This
embarrassing.
This is one of the things I love about things like this. The way that the people that are usually the biggest fish are suddenly in a very big pond. I always find that fun.
President Macron of France?
Yes. Now, unkind comments have been made about his wife there. I think that's a very chic outfit. I don't know if I would have gone that overboard on the matchy-matchy. She's wearing like a powder pink coat dress.
Seems perfectly acceptable
shift
for a
dress.
lady of her age.
Yeah, exactly.
I like it. That's all right.
Yeah, I think she looks great. Well, people were making jokes about how she looks like his mom and not his wife. But maybe that says more about French presidents than it does about...
Yeah, well, that's the wife, not the mistress.
Absolutely.
Right. That's how it works in France.
Now, where would the mistresses sit at an event like this?
I think there's probably an hotel around the corner, or possibly a pub. There are some very good pubs actually very near there, so they might be camped out in the Buckingham Arms or the Adam and Eve.
Is there not a vestry somewhere?
There is, but that might be a bit too official. I mean, it depends. Sir James Goldsmith used to say that when a man marries his mistress, he creates a vacancy. So, the Lord Speaker, Lord McFall of Alcluish.
Now, what's he carrying?
He is having his mace carried in front of him.
Right. And that's just in case he gets attacked.
Yes, and he's accompanied by Black Rod, who is a lady for the first time.
Do you want to explain for our non-British, non-au fait people who Black Rod is?
Certainly. Black Rod is essentially the chief sort of marshal of the House of Lords, who is in charge of ceremony. There we have the Speaker of the House of Commons, Sir Lindsay Hoyle. His mace being carried by the Sergeant at Arms. And his quite an impressive retinue, actually.
Our monarchy is one of the few remaining monarchies that has these objects of state. What are they called? What's the collective noun for these things?
I suppose it's regalia, isn't it?
Your orbs and your scepters.
I discovered something very interesting about the Japanese imperial regalia, which is that it's incredibly sacred. So only the emperor and a couple of priests are able to see it. To the extent that it may actually not exist. We don't know. So the Japanese imperial regalia may be mythical, but yes, we have a lot of regalia. The crown jewels include a lot of scepters and orbs and swords and spoons. We'll be seeing the anointing spoon later on, which was described in The Spectator this week as the most important spoon in the world. Which is fair,
that true,
I think.
though? Uri Geller may disagree.
Well, he may, but we all know he's in the pay of Mossad. So
that's a joke for all you Gen Zers.
Oh my god! Have you seen the crown jewels?
Years ago, yes, when I was very little.
It's quite good the way they do it. You stand on like a moving. What do you call them? Like a moving sidewalk,
a sort of travelator thing.
Little travelator, yeah.
And it was still analog in my day, but
you slowly get swept in front of them. Quite good. Yeah, we got no objections to showing people our trinkets in this country. Check this out.
Most of the crown jewels are, of course, post-restoration, because the crown jewels were all melted down under Cromwell in the 1650s.
Literally under Cromwell. Did he sit on them like a chicken?
Yes, yeah. And sort of incubated them. One of the only pre-1660 pieces of the regalia is indeed the anointing spoon, which is, I think, from the 13th century.
Now, there's been a bit of a crisis in this country over recent months of getting hold of oil. Prices have rocketed. I pay £10 for 500 millilitres of fairly average extra virgin olive oil. Is it possible that they won't be able to get the designated oil from the Mount of Olives and they'll have to use one of those little spray things instead?
Apparently, no. I think preparations have been made. This was specially gathered and curated from the Mount of Olives in Jerusalem, which is where Prince Philip's mother, so the king's grandmother, is buried. She was a Greek Orthodox nun by the end of her life, who is also one of the righteous among the Gentiles, because she hid a Jewish family in Athens during the war. But no, they've got just enough chrism, as it were. It is called chrism. It's
amazing.
Anointing oil.
Yep.
And it's been blessed by the Anglican Archbishop of Jerusalem and the Orthodox Patriarch, I think. So we're back up to speed with the oil.
So they're not going to have to revert to rapeseed or something.
I hope not, or sunflower or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, or lard for tradition.
There he is.
We see His Majesty anointed with the holy lard.
It's
the power of the lard.
It's worth saying I failed to identify, and I don't know how I missed this because she is so stunningly beautiful. Dr. Jill Biden is there with her granddaughter, who I believe had the same wedding photographer that I had for my first wedding. So
yeah, she's
that's a
most
fun-
noted for her connection to you. Right.
Right.
No, it's
All
good.
right.
I ain't clowning.
All right. So these are all the religious leaders, yes?
Yes, there's Cardinal Nichols, the Archbishop of Westminster, the leader of the Roman Catholics in England and Wales.
Now, it was punchy, wasn't it, for Charles to want all of this?
Yes, I mean, we've become a bit more multi-faith in the ceremonial than we were. Obviously, we have faith leaders of quite a lot of these groups at the cenotaph every Remembrance Day, but there was a lot of debate about how far they would be involved in the coronation ceremony. They're obviously all in attendance, but there will be 3 peers from religious minorities handing parts of the coronation clothes to the king during the ceremony.
Oh, that's nice.
Is he going to be termed Defender of the Faiths?
No, he is Defender of the Faith by statute, I think.
Okay.
Well, actually, I don't know if it's in the law, but anyway, his title is Defender of the Faith. I mean, it was, of course, initially granted by the Pope, so it's of dubious provenance to an Anglican anyway. But
the First Minister of Scotland has just arrived.
Yes.
It's worth saying, and his wife is dressed as. I'd need to see that outfit again. Well, do I? I didn't like it.
When you say the First Minister, that's not to suggest that this is a new thing.
No, the First Minister of Wales is over there. It's worth saying that in America, people might not be aware that Nicola Sturgeon is no longer the First Minister of Scotland.
She is not now. She's been succeeded by Humza Yousaf, who was her Minister of Health.
She going to prison, Elliot?
She hasn't gone to prison yet. I couldn't say whether she's going to. I think her husband is possibly more than the frame for it, but I'm sure those are terrible, scurrilous allegations. But there has been a little legal difficulty around the former leadership of the SNP, with police raids and vans outside her house and things.
So this is the Lord Mayor.
Lord Mayor of London, wearing the robe that his predecessor wore at the last coronation in 1953.
Wow. Where did they store that thing?
It belongs to the Skinners Company, which is one of the London guilds, and they've loaned it to him for the day.
So we got our Lord Mayor in London, then you got like the elected political mayor. But the Lord Mayor, we only had like in London an elected mayor fairly recent. It's a new invention. They sort of looked at New York and went, we want one of those. But there's been a Lord Mayor going back to what, like the 1600s? Is that right?
Way before
Way
that.
before that?
The Lord Mayor of London, who is the mayor of the City of London itself, I mean, it goes way back to the 13th century, I think. Because, of course, famously, Dick Whittington was Mayor of London, Lord Mayor of London.
Right.
Him and his cat.
And when we say the City of London, we mean the square mile.
We do.
Which is just one small bit of London, nowhere near the middle of London.
Absolutely.
So there we're seeing the St. Edward's chair. Is St. Edward's? St. Edward's?
No, there is a coronation chair which has the stone of Scone under it. Those two thrones,
those are their thrones.
are actually recycled from the last coronation, apparently, just to reduce on new spend, I suppose.
Right, because this event is all about conservation.
Yeah, you have to do it on a budget. This is
But
only
it's scaled back. But here's the thing. So Charles was very adamant that this would be a low-key, scaled back, austerity coronation.
And he does
however,
actually care a lot about the environment, which is maybe
he does.
one of the only
Well,
things
people
I
used
like
to laugh
about
at him for it, but haha, we're all laughing now. What I find weird is I don't know how. If this is scaled back, what could it have been? I mean, I'm seeing all the stuff that I usually see for these kinds of things. I'm not seeing scaled back, really.
I think there are two things. I think to an extent, somebody has probably come to the conclusion that with these kinds of things, which don't happen very often, you either go hard or go home. And I think there has been a feeling that, one goes for it in a big way. I mean, there are fewer people there. There are about 3,000 people there. There were 8,000 at the coronation in 1953. But, in 1953, they'd built huge galleries of seats up to the roof. They had a miniature railway in the abbey beforehand to get everything in and out. And of course, most of the congregation couldn't actually see what was going on because they were down the nave and up in the rafters. So, I mean, it's scaled back in that sense, but it's still a big deal. And it should be, This is the sort of symbolic beginning of his reign and his... and importantly, it's the religious part, which is, very significant for those who are members of the established church and for the king himself.
It's also worth saying, again, that this is the first coronation in 70 years. Most people, or quite a few people, have gone their entire lives without even seeing something like
I
this.
kind of feel that they could have saved up, the budget they would ordinarily spend every 10 years. I feel like we've kind of got 7... But does it not roll over if you don't spend? Maybe it's like in businesses. If you don't spend your budget every year, you don't get it.
I think that's
year.
it. Yeah, so that's why the royals presumably blow a huge amount of flowers every March just to sort of bottom the budget before the financial year.
I mean, it's interesting that this is happening at the beginning of May. At the start of the new financial year. I would have thought they'd try and cram it into the end of the last financial year.
But you know what'll happen? We'll get to next March and there'll be nothing, and they'll be sort of looking around in the down the back of every sofa in Buckingham Palace.
Now this, I remember our friend... Oh no, I can't say that. This is the youngest Lord Mayor of...
He's the Lord Mayor of Westminster.
Yes, correct. I couldn't remember.
That's right. He's like in his 20s, right?
Yes, he is. He's a really exceptional, fascinating young man, and he is the first person of... Not only is he the youngest person ever, but he's the first person of color ever to hold this.
Elected at the age of 22, first Muslim to hold the position, and you can't talk about why you know him.
But, well, I don't know him. I just... Look, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And talking of colour, he is the position was the first mayoralty to use a non-black robe. When they established it in 1900, they picked blue.
All right, got more people turning up. Who's turned up?
Tony Blair.
Sir Tony Blair and Sir John Major, wearing their collars and stars of the Order of the Garter.
Former Prime Ministers. We've got Cherie Blair with Tony there. Sadly, Norma Major, John's wife, is not well today.
Gordon and Sarah Brown behind them.
So Gordon Brown succeeded Tony Blair as Prime Minister. Behind him, this is in order that they did the jobs, isn't it?
Sam Cam
and David Cameron.
David Cameron.
Yes.
Sam Cam, as always, looking absolutely stunning. She's always been well dressed.
I like the word. They are literally entering through the gift shop. They are passing by the Westminster Abbey shop to get
Cherie
in.
Blair is dressed has come as a flower girl today. She's also in light pink, but she's wearing a dress that is totally unbecoming of her.
Is it annoying that Tony Blair looks quite good?
It's, I mean, I don't know. I don't have strong opinions about that. She is wearing an interesting headpiece, though. It's sort of like, it looks like silk flowers, but I don't even want to talk about that dress anymore. No one else hates that dress.
I'm
ridiculous.
Captivated by the cope which the Dean of Westminster is wearing on the right there, because that was worn by his predecessor at the coronation in 1661.
Wow.
David Cameron looks like he's dressed for a wedding.
Well, yeah. It's a Saturday in May Saturday in summer for David Cameron.
Here we go. So. Theresa May coming as your drunk auntie.
And Sir Philip May with Too many buttons done up by the looks of it to me, but there you
Yeah,
are.
I agree.
That
Now,
jacket is too
Boris
small.
Johnson behind with not nearly enough buttons done up.
But looks like
Correct.
he's rolled out of a hedge.
Would
I mean,
expect
I've
nothing
never seen him
less.
look so bad. And Weeble Wobble herself.
This is Liz Truss, who no one remembers, which presumably is why she's wearing bright orange.
Yes, no fool her.
Looks like she picked that up at the LK Bennett sale. No shade. It is, talking of shade, though, it is a very bright orange. To be fair to Theresa May,
Her job is to be remembered now. Like
Yeah.
that is now her life is to be like, I was Prime Minister for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And she has to be noticed. That is all that matters to her now.
she is still wearing the necklace as well that is rumored to be a sign of her, or a symbol of her
Sexual
position
proclivities.
in the BDSM community. I feel I was a little too harsh on Theresa May. She was wearing ivory with orange accents.
Do you think she and Liz had coordinated?
Well, unfortunately, it looked a little bit that way. But what I was
Are
going
you
to say
suggesting
is,
that two Tory prime ministerial entities would ever coordinate?
I mean, it strikes me that orange is quite punchy given
Yeah.
the situation in Northern Ireland, but
yeah, I mean,
No one's wearing green.
damn right.
now
Uh,
what's happening here? I'm not quite.
Those are
understanding.
the banners of the Commonwealth, I think.
Now, how come Winston Churchill gets a memorial stone in the middle of Westminster Abbey and no one else does? I mean, I know other people do, but that's right in the footfall there.
Well, I think he was. Is that Winston Churchill's?
Yeah.
Or excellent. I think, when he died in 1965, I think we sort of decided that he was the big one. He was the one we were going to remember. Although, of course, his funeral was not in the Abbey. I think it was at St. Paul's.
Ooh, Justin Trudeau looking every bit the snack. Hello. He looks fantastic.
How does he get on with Macron? I mean, do they get on? I
Well, you
imagine that they really hate each other.
I would have thought so. I mean, they are sort of cut very much from the same cloth. The same sort of slightly shiny cloth
They are, yeah.
that no gentleman would wear.
Is that bloke wearing sunglasses? Yeah.
Maximum respect if he is, unless, of course, he's blind, in which case, unfortunate for him.
Tony Soprano's just rolled in.
You thought, somebody's just almost taken a tumble there.
Yeah, we're really hoping someone's going to trip and fall.
I really hope so. So we got all the heads of state rolling in now. None of these people have walked anywhere since 1973, so it's fun to watch them struggle with perambulation.
I will say,
That's a good dress.
even
though.
if I'm not,
Oh,
God,
it's
she
Rishi's
looks
wife.
Stunning.
Ah.
Yeah, she looks beautiful, but I would expect nothing less of a billionaire. Okay, so now we've got the pumpkin style coach. Elliot, do you want to talk? It's not pumpkin style at all.
We've been watching a lot of Kath and Kim.
Yeah.
Well, the king and queen are going from Buckingham Palace to the Abbey in the more modern stagecoach. The traditional vehicle is the Speaker's state coach, but that is apparently too bouncy because it's more old-fashioned. This one has proper springs and indeed air conditioning, I believe.
Oh,
Really?
nice.
Is this one Australian?
I believe it is. I believe it was a gift from the people of Australia, which was very nice of them. I don't know if they're all asked individually. Probably not. But yes, this is a gift.
Now, is it unreasonable to have a shot of all of those horses and Camilla together?
She hasn't got blue hair, unlike the horses. I think that's very modern and non-binary of the royal household to have blue-haired horses.
They're very funky, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's like if Prince could have sort of conceived a coronation, he would have had, well, they'd have had purple hair, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say if Prince could have conceived a horse. I think that would be beyond him.
There's Charles. He's got a lovely satin bow on his right shoulder, which is very pretty.
That's ermine, isn't it? That he's wearing?
He's wearing an ermine cape, but yes, he's got satin bows on the collar he's wearing, which is probably the Order of the Garter, but I can't quite see.
I'm sure all will be revealed. Apologies, folks, for the bulldog screaming in the background. He's mad because we have cheese out, which I'm surely going to have to remove in a moment.
And we haven't paid the cheese tax.
And we haven't paid the cheese tax, which, as you all know, all dog owners know.
You have to pay the tax.
Yeah.
I should say this is the King's first outfit of the day. I believe he's going to be changing 3 times during the ceremony for various reasons. So he's got a busy day in terms of déshabillé.
In terms of what?
Déshabillé, being undressed.
Oh. You mentioned that he has to strip off for the anointing.
He has to remove some clothes. I mean, I don't think he needs to go tackle out, but yes.
Someone has to rub oil into his chest.
When he is anointed by the Archbishop of Canterbury, he has to be anointed with the chrism on his head, his hands, and his breast. So he may have to bare his chest for the Archbishop, but then which of us hasn't? This, of course, is slightly more complicated if you are a queen, because bearing your breast means a whole different thing.
Sure.
But all of that will be done away from the cameras. The anointing will not be filmed.
This anointing will not be televised.
It will not.
Right. I'm going to pause briefly here so I can clear the first course and let the dogs back in.
All right, so we are watching the pumpkin carriage and the blue-haired horses going down the... Where are they going down? The Mall. They've left Buckingham Palace. There it is. It's a very rainy day.
Very grey.
Very grey. Who decided that early May in the United Kingdom was a good time to do this? There's a whole bunch of soldiers.
Last weekend was beautiful, to be fair.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but that coach is very funereal to me. Why does it feel like that?
I don't know.
Black.
Looks like a party bus to me. What's the difference, Elliot, between a coach and a carriage?
I think a carriage is open, isn't it?
Huh.
Is that the difference?
Don't know.
Of course, they had open carriages in 1953 when it was raining. And famously, the crowd took to their hearts the Queen of Tonga, Queen Saloti, who was in an open carriage. And she was with one of her members of staff, who was a small man. And 2 of the onlookers, I think it was Noel Coward and somebody else, one of them said, "Who's that man next to her?" And Noel Coward said, "Her lunch."
Wow.
She was a big lady, Queen Saloti.
Wow.
But
I mean,
the crowd absolutely loved her.
Let's be honest, that is phenomenally racist.
It's a bit racist and it's a bit misogynist, but it was Noel Coward. So,
oh boy.
But no, she was. Queen Saloti looked incredibly happy to be there, as I'm sure she was.
Yeah.
And that, despite the terrible rain and the open carriage, meant the crowd very much took to her.
Of course, nothing wrong with open carriage in this country.
Are you making like an open carry reference?
Yeah.
Ugh. Bleak. Now, are they forming a letter? Why have we not talked about the lawn penis yet?
Because it's in Bath.
Ah, yes.
Some wily chap has used, we think, herbicide rather than mode.
Yes. Strategically placed.
Yeah. The shape of a giant 30-foot long cock and balls
Yep, that's right.
on
That's
the
not
grass.
giant, is it?
Well, but I think it's bigger than anything currently on Grindr. In the grass outside the Royal Crescent in Bath, where they're going to be having garden parties, people misconstrued this story, that this is going to be where Charles was actually going to have an event himself, that he was going to have his party in the face of a giant cock and balls. But sadly, no, it's in the West Country of England.
That's fine. He's still probably humiliated by it because there are photos everywhere in
Everywhere.
every major outlet of him next to a picture of the field with the enormous cock and balls.
It's odd, isn't it? I mean, you have it on the hill in Cerne Abbas and it's a tourist attraction. You have it on the lawn in Bath and suddenly it's vandalism. I mean, I think we should have leaned into this one, as it were.
Are
Now,
you saying we should put cocks and balls on all lawns
All lawns, yeah.
across the nation?
Yeah.
the horses are kind of
Oh, those horses are kicking off.
giving it a lot.
Tig has, the pug has got past the point of shouting at every horse she sees now. She's like, there's just too many fucking horses.
Yeah.
I can't even.
Now there's crowds gathered, but it's nowhere near what I would have expected for something like this.
Well,
But maybe I'm speaking out of turn. Maybe it just doesn't look like it from here.
yeah, I mean, I think they're like 15, 20 deep.
I do love that the warning, the terrorist warning was just, you'd better not show up here.
Yeah, we'll be very cross.
Yeah.
Stern talking to.
Very English.
There's this one horse, seriously, people, one horse that is,
Having none of this.
it is on E or something. It is pulling shapes. It's moshing. Actually, the one behind it's kicking off too.
The horses do seem a bit.
Well, they're having to
agitated.
step. I don't think I've mentioned yet that this entire parade route is covered in horse shit.
Yeah. Freddie
Like-
Mercury riding that horse there.
I don't know. I don't know that it's been so nonstop that they can't send
have-
someone in to clear it. But,
Yeah, you'd have thought like curling at the Olympics, there'd be someone with a broom.
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
a like a pressure washer.
Or just spray the shit into the plebs at the side of the road
Yeah.
so the king's carriage can
Very
proceed.
coronation.
They would
Yes.
love it.
They would love it. They
It's
would
got a
love
very
it.
feudal vibe to it.
I caught the royal turd.
That's like the line in Monty Python and the Holy Grail. You know, he must be a king. He hasn't got shit on him.
Well, there you go. Although it's too early to say.
I don't know, Elliot. I mean, ermine covers a multitude of sins, doesn't it?
It really
Those
does.
little dark spots
Yeah,
could be anything.
yeah. Although I don't think it's wiped clean, but I always wanted to set that as an essay question, actually, when I was tutoring in history. He must be a king. He hasn't got shit on him. Discuss. That's a kind of medieval history question.
I love that you're here to answer. I mean, I love that you're here for many reasons, but for the sake of the listeners,
Yeah, you won't get commentary like
you
this
won't
anywhere
get
else.
commentary like this anywhere else.
You don't get this from Hugh Edwards, I'll tell you that for nothing.
Correct.
How do we feel about a Welshman presiding over this? Is there no surviving Dimbleby that couldn't have been dragged out of retirement?
I think, well, I mean, there are many Dimblebys because there's Henry who runs Leon, the fast food chain, but the shishi fast food chain, which pretends it's not fast food.
I
I'm
think
sure
it's
it's marvelous.
fast casual is the term you're looking for.
Is
there.
it really? Good
Yeah.
Lord. Good Lord. Signs and wonders.
Depeche Manger.
But, I mean, I think even Jonathan Dimbleby is now in his late 70s, and
Well.
I think David is now well into his 80s. But, you know, they're still both spry and...
So, were we talking to you about this a week or two ago, or was it just me and Michelle? The happy part of Happy and Glorious. There's a big banner up saying Happy and Glorious, and I don't think happy really goes along with. I mean, certainly I always found it weird with Elizabeth, whose face never really registered happiness. It wasn't her dominant mode.
I think it is a sort of linguistic hangover from when the national anthem was written, isn't it? I think happy perhaps had a different shade of meaning in those days.
More like happy circumstances, happy tidings.
Yes, indeed.
As opposed to ever being able to crack a fucking smile.
Yeah, I don't think it's sort of it's not lols and glorious. It's an older sense of that. But I agree. Without out of context, it does sound a bit unusual.
Because the Queen prided herself on the sheer levels of her misery. Like, suffering was an art form.
Stoicism is the word you're looking for there rather than suffering.
Sacrifice
But suffering connotes martyrdom, which she certainly wasn't, at least as a public face.
No, I think, she had to sit through a lot of stuff that she might perhaps otherwise not have chosen to do. So I think she assumed a relatively impassive face of, I am here and it is all going on and I have to be here because I'm the Queen.
And I suppose she would have said, and I am happy to do it. And that is the...
Yes,
all right, so that's
indeed.
the element of happiness. Going past Jersey boys there.
Well, that's Trafalgar Square,
Yes,
where we were last weekend, and some of the worst traffic I've ever been in my life while they were setting all this up.
Now coming down Whitehall.
Going past Nelson's column. More than a 30-foot penis.
Certainly is. It's several hundred feet, I think.
Another mental horse.
Yep. I think the thing with these horses is once one of them starts kicking off, the other ones are like, hang on, I want some of that too. I feel bad for the people on the left side of the road who aren't even going to get a look in. It's worth saying it's quite brave of His Majesty to show his hands so often with the wave.
His sausage fingers.
Yeah.
It is quite a thing to behold, though. I mean, I will say I've not seen that much horse in one place since there was a camera backstage at a Rolling Stones concert.
It's like a lasagna factory, isn't it? But I think the problem with...
Current references only, please.
I think the problem with the hands is that, if you are a monarch, you're using your hands a lot because it's all you can wave decently.
Oh, we've got...
Have to interrupt proceedings here.
Yes,
The
we've got Zara.
Black sheep of the family has just barred his way into the abbey.
Zara and Mike Phillips. We've got princesses Beatrice and Eugenie and their respective husbands.
Without a +1 is...
Prince Harry.
Maybe Katy Perry is his +1.
He should be so lucky.
It does rhyme. I'm loving Bee's dress there. She's wearing a magenta frock.
Ooh.
I'm guessing Eugenie is...
I'm not booing
Is
her,
she
I'm
pregnant?
booing
She
Andrew.
is pregnant,
Still?
yes.
Yeah.
Again, I think. Is it the second one?
Gosh. Yeah, I've declined to comment on sweaty pedo. I don't really... It's interesting that he's shown up in public. Princess Anne there, my personal hero.
Princess Royal, who today is acting as Gold Stick.
How does Goldstick get on with Black Rod?
I think it's a sort of the twain shall never meet.
Right. It's like matter and antimatter. There'll be a giant explosion. Who's that?
The Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh.
Yeah, that's
Edward and Sophie.
I thought they were divorced.
No.
I've not seen Edward since he started looking old. And that's why I said, who's that?
No,
Because
I
to
was
me,
taken aback as well.
Edward is a child and will always be a child. I am shocked that he's got that old that quickly.
And their children, James Viscount Severn and Lady Louise Windsor, who is now an undergraduate at the University of St Andrews. Hurrah for that. She's
Elliot's
reading
alma
English.
mater.
The Princess Royal in her robes as a Knight of the Thistle.
Is that her husband?
That is.
He
Vice
is
Admiral Sir Timothy
hot.
Lawrence. He'll be delighted to know. Very nice man.
Back we go to the blue horses. Oh my God, there is one on the right.
Yeah, I see
It's
him.
swirling its head around like an 80s hair metal mosher. And it is glorious. There's one horse going, get your backs up off the wall.
I know.
Come on, get down. And they're all kicking off.
And that one's like, don't believe me, just watch.
Interesting, there's only one rider for every 2 horses. Unless 3 of the riders have just been booted off.
Yes, they've possibly just been thrown.
That horse is talking to that horse going, oh, you never guess who I got in my carriage. None of this will make sense without pictures. I'm hoping all y'all who listen to this, you just got it on while you're like doing the housework and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah?
It would be wise.
I think
We'll
so.
tell you, we haven't had a chance to really get stuck in on the fashions as much as I would have liked.
Well, these people are all wearing the same thing.
But
They've all shown up. I mean, these are the soldiers, to be fair.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I meant of the guests, but you'll see plenty of that. And maybe Elliot and I can do an addendum if Robin's not interested in.
That guy's signaling a right
whatever you wanna
turn, which is considerate.
I just want to see that our prime minister has the correct trouser length.
Oh,
Because
never happened before.
He's notorious for high watering it.
Now, is this carriage coach subject to traffic regulations? I mean, if it were to go above 20 miles an hour, which I think is the speed limit there.
I think, firstly, I would pay to see that. But secondly, I assume it's not, because the road's been closed, and it's certainly not registered and taxed. But I would love to see him get pulled over as well.
That would be amazing. Yeah.
This your carriage, sir?
Do you think they're bored yet?
I just want to know what they're talking about.
Should have got an Uber.
This is taking ages.
Yeah. Should have got the tube. It's a very slow way to travel. In my head, when I was a kid, I used to think this is the only journey the royals ever make. Right? From the palace to the Abbey to 10 Downing Street, maybe, or Parliament. And that's it. But of course, you know, they've all got sports cars and they drive them at 300 miles an hour in the middle of the night. And Range Rovers. It's very odd to think that the Queen used to just get in the car and drive around.
Yes, the King of Saudi Arabia was particularly taken aback by that when he visited once, because, of course, women can't drive in Saudi, or couldn't drive in Saudi Arabia at the time. And when Her Majesty got behind the wheel of the Land Rover and drove it at considerable speed, he was somewhat surprised, but I think a point was being made.
Hey, they're in the cycle lane.
I hope the mayor isn't watching.
There's a sign on the road saying, look left. It's like, there's the king. Oh, boy.
This won't happen every time.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a pause in proceedings time for all you're listening. That's no pause at all, but for us, there's only so much wittering about a coach and horses that you can possibly stand. It's just occurred to me why there's an unridden horse next to each ridden horse. Well, it's the royal thing, isn't it? A mare and a spare. Well, they've arrived outside the shop.
Yep, there are some overpriced guidebooks about the Abbey to be had.
I'd have thought they could find an entrance that isn't by the shop. Very odd.
I've never been to Westminster Abbey.
Oh, we should go.
I think it's more that they built the shop by the west entrance that's the problem.
Can they not use the one on Parliament Square?
Well, that's the no, is that right? Is that the north door? Because you need to go in at the bottom of the nave, really, don't you?
I suppose, yeah.
Churches all being aligned in the same way.
Well, they're there. There seems to be some delay getting out of the coach. Maybe they're sort of trying to figure out, do you take debit cards?
Yeah.
Do you contactless okay?
Yeah. The driver doesn't have any change. It's very difficult.
I was told this would be on account.
60 minutes or less. I don't know how long we're going to be.
Elliot, that is an ace up your sleeve that you have very cleverly hidden. Because that is an astonishingly good King
I'm not sure I can
Charles.
sustain it, but we'll give it a go.
Oh, I'm not sure he can.
Mhm.
We'll see. Funny, isn't it, how Harry stands out in any crowd. You can spot him immediately, and not just because of his inverted hair island.
He does have a hair island at the moment. Now, where are the other two?
They are the Prince and Princess of Wales are presumably. Oh, I would have thought they'd arrive with the King and Queen, but maybe not. Maybe they're late. Maybe they had an argument. You know what it's like. You're rushing to get ready, and
Yeah.
You're not going to wear that, are you?
I thought we'd agreed that order of chivalry. No.
Now, which one is the racist one or the
How long have you got?
the one who is like unapologetically racist, the one who like asked if the baby was going to be.
Oh, well, I'm not sure we know who supposedly asked if the baby was what colour it was going to be. There was an accusation that Princess Michael of Kent was a bit racist on the grounds that she had worn a brooch in the shape of a blackamoor's head.
Yes,
right. Which is not so much an accusation as just an observation, really.
She's the one in the middle there, isn't she?
No, I don't know if. I mean, she must be there, I suppose. But I haven't seen the Prince and Princess Michael of Kent.
Now, I've known the answer to this before, but I'm going to ask you again. Her name's not Michael, is it?
No.
How come the other princesses don't take their husband's name, but she has?
You only take your husband's name if your only title as a prince is Prince whatever. So technically, until he was made Duke of Sussex, Meghan was Princess Henry of Wales.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
Because she's not Princess Meghan, because she's not princess in her own right.
Oh.
She is now Duchess of Sussex, but before he was given the title Duke of Sussex, she was technically Princess Henry. So if your only title is Prince blah of wherever, then your wife gets as a title Princess, but your name, which seems a bit rough.
Yeah.
But in the same way with lesser aristocratic titles, for example, Lady Colin Campbell was... you would be called Lady Colin Campbell if you're married to Lord Colin Campbell. It wouldn't just be that he'd found a woman called Colin.
Or, he was fluid in his identity.
I think I see the Middletons back there. I definitely saw James Middleton. All right, now they're doing Blast. Oh,
do you all get all of these in jokes yet? Do they?
Probably not.
Probably not. Well, they've done the little trumpet. There's a Jesus by them. That's nice. Here we go. On your feet, everyone. It's not the king.
Who's that? Who's the gentleman in black?
He will be an official of some kind, but I think behind him then we have the senior clergy. The lady there is the Bishop of London, I think, Sarah Mulvaney.
She's quite young, isn't she?
That is the Archbishop of York, Stephen Cottrell. And then we have the junior heralds, the Pursuivants.
Greg
people like
Lutz.
Rouge Dragon Percevant and then some of the heralds. The Prior of the Order of St. John there in the black.
That's very Masonic, isn't it?
It is indeed. These are the representatives of the various orders of chivalry. Lord Coe there, representing the Order of the Bath. Lord Eames, the former Archbishop of Armagh.
Is the Order of Chairs.
Lord Hope of Craighead on behalf of the Order of the Thistle. Now the Queen is having her train attached.
You make it sound like she's a locomotive.
And then the banners of Wales, Scotland there being carried by the Earl of Dundee, a splendid man, known in the House of Lords as Croc for obvious reasons.
And poor old Wales at the back there.
Well, these things happen.
Oh God, see that lady on the left is wearing the same dress that Cherie Blair is wearing. That's got to be embarrassing.
That's Rebecca Harris, marvellous woman. Those three are government whips, but they hold sinecures in the royal household. The treasurer, the vice chamberlain, and the controller.
Prince George looks so cute.
There is the king with his hot equerry behind him, Major Johnny Thompson.
Oh, yes. Goodness.
Quite.
Where? Oh. Now, why has he got a noose around his neck? It's
Who?
just the thing, Charles, it's the thing used to tie his ermine robe together, but it's tied up itself in what looks like a noose knot. It's
He was
very
just,
odd.
absent-mindedly tying it and it came out like a noose. What do you know?
Yeah.
I'm sure that must
Well,
mean
you know
something.
he's a secret goth. Always has been.
Do you think? Think he listens to Sisters of Mercy?
His first drink was cherry brandy, or at least his first drink he got drunk on, I believe, when he was at school.
That is very goth. Well, there they are.
Yes, Prince and Princess
Willie
of
and
Wales.
Cater, as Adam Buxton would say.
Love her hair.
Yeah, she's rocking the Princess Anne hair.
Yeah.
Significantly not wearing a tiara, but wearing flowers in her hair.
Is she going to San Francisco?
Now who's this geezer?
That is one of the Scottish nobility, I think, bearing one of the crowns. There are 3 crowns: the crown of St. Edward, the imperial state crown, and the other one, the name of which escapes me.
To the procession.
Now, what would happen if any one of these people couldn't make it? If one of these polls wasn't there, or would it all be invalidated?
Oh, they'd just get someone else to do it, I think. A lot.
Oh, there's your girlfriend.
The Lord President of the Council, Penny Mordaunt, carrying the Sword of State.
Who looks absolutely stunning. I think she has won Best Dressed.
She is quite sexy with a big weapon in her hands.
She's sexy without it. Look at that gorgeous. It's
Yeah.
like a cape with laurel leaves and then a headpiece. It's not stuffy or matronly in the slightest.
No.
It's very, very chic.
Pokemon fans will be glad to know that some soldiers have walked in with marinis on their head.
And the
orb.
The scepter with the dove there being carried by Baroness Benjamin.
Who some of you may remember from children's television back when I were little.
Indeed
and
so.
play school. Me and Elliot were talking about this earlier. Big Ted and Little Ted, unfortunately, have had a disagreement.
Yeah,
They're
don't speak
not in
anymore.
attendance.
The Queen looking like she's amused at having to walk quite so slowly, but then she's being, I was going to say pursued, I mean followed, of course, by 4 pages carrying her train.
Well, horses always startle when they don't like to have people right behind them. So
I've never tried to be right behind her. Oh, there is that scene in Equus, isn't there? Yeah.
I can't get over Prince George. He's such a scene stealer. Now, so who are the other?
Yeah, who've we got? So there are some kids there holding Charles's train.
Yes, those are the pages of honor. One of whom is Prince George, but the others are. They're all children of aristocrats, I believe.
One of them could have brushed his hair today.
Yeah, but it's very sort of old school, isn't it? Just
Very
sort of,
Eton.
it's very
Yeah.
Boris Johnson, isn't it?
Wow.
Although he's a bit faux. So the king flanked by two of the bishops who will assist at the coronation, and followed by his equerry, and then some of the gentlemen at arms.
Now, for those of you who don't listen to royalty, do you want to explain what an equerry is?
An equerry is essentially a sort of aide de camp or a sort of assistant, but they are generally military types who will, act as secretaries, personal assistants to members of the royal family.
Yeah, you'll remember like House of Cards. Can we talk about House of Cards? What was the name of
the British one?
No, the American one. What was the name of Kevin Spacey's assistant?
Oh, he was fantastic.
What was his job title?
I don't remember.
But he'd do the killing on your behalf.
Yeah,
you know?
that actor is fantastic. I wish I could remember his name.
Began with an S. Don't matter.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Anyway,
your equerry will be the bloke who actually does the shit.
now why are these ladies in waiting?
Yes, but they're not called ladies in waiting anymore. They've changed the name since the accession of the king. They are now female companions or lady companions or something. It was felt that ladies in waiting was too old-fashioned a term, so they are now.
The wait is now over.
And the wait.
It does seem slightly odd because
now they're just ladies.
If you're basically just a mate of the Queen hanging around doing vaguely official duties, it's not going to look businesslike and formal anyway. I would have stuck with lady in waiting myself.
But why are they dressed like her? That's so creepy. The one
because they want to be her.
The one on the right, in particular, is very.
But 'twas ever thus at court, wasn't it?
It's a difficult position to be in. There's a great Stephen Fry joke from way back about, I used to be an assistant to Princess Anne, but I realised that no matter how good I was never going to be Princess Anne. So it's all about, who you are, not what you know.
She does look really good. Her makeup is...
Camilla?
Yeah. There's not a whole lot you can do to polish a turd, but...
Well, the thing is, people will say she's looking like this is all ridiculous and everything, but actually, I think she's shitting it.
She certainly can't have thought many years ago that one day she would be walking down the aisle of Westminster Abbey to be crowned Queen.
No.
She'll be putting in a little thank you to Macron, I'd imagine, for that.
God, Starmer looks so hungover.
Well, he's coming to terms with the fact he might have to run this shithole soon.
God, it is a long way.
I hope Andrew didn't have to walk in front of all these choir boys and choir girls, did he?
I think the boys are safe.
I think the boys are safe.
Yeah.
And I'm not drawing any inference from the legal settlement. It doesn't imply guilt or innocence.
Sure.
It was merely a desire to settle the issue and make it go away.
Yeah.
No sweat.
I generally find it's always good to make gifts to people that have accused me of being a paedophile. Which has never happened, I should clarify.
Yeah.
So speaking of choir boys, the chair that Charles is going to sit on, St. Edward's chair, it's not a throne, it's a chair.
Sorry, I have to interrupt you because Princess...
This just in.
No, we just got a very, very unfairly short look at Princess Charlotte and Prince Louis. Prince Louis come as Karl Lagerfeld, apparently.
The reincarnation, perhaps.
Late to the Met Gala.
Very late to the Met Gala. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
In
that's
case
nice.
that wasn't obvious.
They brought Queen Camilla a program there.
Or a menu.
So what are these trophies behind them? That looks
Oh,
like
there they are. Look at them.
she's come as Princess Leia.
She does look like Princess Leia. So why is Prince Louis why was he not one of the pages?
Probably too young. I don't know what age is he? He's about...
He's 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, I mean, it's well known that he's a liability. So
Well, that's why I'm dying to I want the camera to be on him more because
Yeah, for the entire.
I want him to kick off. More crowns there.
Yep, the Imperial Crown and the Crown of St. Edward there, I think.
Is that the Wimbledon ladies plate trophy behind?
Yeah, I think Camilla won it back in 36.
I'm just saying a little fake tan would have gone a long way for the king there.
Yeah.
He's looking a bit washed out.
Looking a bit Mr. Burns, isn't he?
Yeah.
Now, as I was going to say, the chair that he will be seated on shortly, St. Edward's chair, rather wonderfully has got some graffiti carved into it, supposedly by choir boys. And I'm not aware of the date. I was asking Elliot about it earlier. You'd think it's from like the 70s or something, but then it occurred to me it could be from the 1570s.
The chair is very old. It was built for King Edward I, wasn't it? Because it contains within it the Stone of Scone, the Stone of Destiny, which was the stone upon which kings of Scots were crowned. Although my suspicion is that's not the actual Stone of Destiny, but there we are. And it is almost certainly mythical that the Stone of Destiny was the stone upon which Jacob laid his head. It's not Jacob's pillow, I suspect, but that is the story.
Can you heat it up for a relaxing therapeutic treatment?
I don't know if it's ever been tried.
Can you make pizza on it?
Possibly not pizza. I mean, given that it's from Scotland, maybe a bridie or something, but I'm not sure about pizza.
A deep fried pizza. Can you make a deep fried pizza? Oh, we'll get complaints again.
Oh, deep fried pizza's a thing.
Yeah, but there are Scottish listeners who don't like it. Don't like it. When we turn anything on them that we would happily turn anywhere else. So we love you all. Well, I think we're into the ceremony now, so we should probably hear some of the words, shouldn't we? Do you think?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Should we? So we'll take a little pause.